Imagine waking up one day next to the person you love, only to realize you might be sleeping beside a stranger. But hey, before we get into this roller coaster, I notice some of you haven't subscribed yet. Come on, it's quick, it's free, and it helps us keep bringing you stories that grip your heart. Alright, ready? Let's dive in. I never thought I'd end up here, typing this out like some anonymous confession. I always believed that kind of drama happened to other people who ignored the red flags. But life doesn't tap you on the shoulder when it's about to flip your world upside down. Sometimes, it just pulls the rug out from under you when you least expect it. I'll keep it real, I'm not one to assume the worst. My wife, let's call her Emma, and I had a good thing going. 6 years together, married for 4. We had that kind of vibe people envy. Inside jokes, lazy Sunday mornings, random sushi nights, and those deep talks that last until 2 a.m. It was comfortable, familiar, safe. Or at least, that's what I thought. About 6 months ago, little things started changing. I mean really small stuff. The kind you wouldn't even notice unless you were looking for it. Emma suddenly wouldn't let go of her phone. Even if she was just folding laundry in the next room, it stayed glued to her. Before, she'd leave it lying around for hours without a second thought. I joked one night, "What are you, part of a secret spy agency now?" She laughed and said something about work emails. I didn't think much of it. Until a few days later, she added a password. Now, she'd never used one before. When I asked, she muttered something about hackers. Again, not a huge deal. But it felt weird. Then came the phone calls. She started stepping out of the room to answer them. Her phone would buzz, and she'd say, "Just a work friend," before disappearing outside or into the bedroom. It didn't sit right. And suddenly, her phone always faced down on the table. One time, I reached over to hand her something, and she snatched it like I was about to read her diary. It wasn't just about the phone. She was different. Distant. Conversations were harder. When I brought up stuff like our anniversary or getting a new car, she brushed it off. "Yeah, we'll see." And then she changed the subject. One random Wednesday, she said she was grabbing coffee with a friend after work. Totally normal. She does that sometimes. But I was out running errands nearby and thought, why not surprise her? It'll be cute. Only, she wasn't with anyone. I spotted her pacing outside the cafe, phone to her ear, and the look on her face? Intense. I stayed in my car. I didn't mean to listen in, but I caught a few words. "It's almost ready and starting fresh soon." My stomach dropped. Later that evening, I asked how coffee went. She spun this whole story about her friend venting about her boyfriend. I just stared at her. Something didn't add up. Then, completely out of nowhere, she goes, "We should put all our documents and account info in one place, just in case. For emergencies." I blinked. We'd never talked about anything like that. Ever. It came out of left field. "What kind of emergencies?" I asked. She just shrugged and said, "You know, life stuff. It's smart, right?" Sure. It sounded responsible. But the way she said it, it felt rehearsed. Too smooth. Like she'd practiced it in her head. A few nights later, she brought it up again. I was making a sandwich, and she casually goes, "Have you thought more about organizing the bank stuff?" That's when I turned and said, "Okay, seriously. What's going on?" She acted surprised. Said it was no big deal. But her tone? It was off. Too defensive. too vague. Like she was dancing around something. I nodded like I believed her. But inside, I was spiraling. My gut was screaming that something wasn't right. So the next day, while she was at work, I checked our joint account. And yeah, there were withdrawals. Small ones. Spread out. Just enough to seem normal but off enough to raise red flags. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to be smart. I called an old friend from college, a lawyer, and told him everything. He didn't say I was being paranoid. In fact, he said I was smart to get ahead of it. Better safe than sorry, he told me. He walked me through what to do. Just basic steps to protect myself financially. And I did it. I hated doing it. It felt like I was bracing for war in a house that used to feel like home. But when the person you love starts acting like a stranger, you don't just hope for the best. You prepare for the worst. I kept playing it all in my head. Our wedding day, those late-night talks about our future, even the dumb inside jokes that made us laugh until we cried. How did we get here? Was this really where our marriage ended? Not with a fight, but with quiet suspicion and defensive planning? That night, while Emma was out, I sat at my desk, hands trembling as I opened my laptop. I wasn't hunting for dirt, I was securing my life. I dug into our accounts, savings, investments, property. Each click felt like a betrayal, but my gut reminded me, this wasn't sabotage. This was survival. I didn't want to hurt her. God, I still loved her. But love can't blind you when the walls start closing in. I made a list, quietly plotting how to shift our assets, enough to protect myself without raising suspicion. And then, I called my mom. I didn't tell her everything. Just that I needed her to hold on to a few things, keep them safe. She paused, voice full of concern. Are you okay? Yeah, I lied. Just being careful. She didn't press, just said, whatever you need, sweetheart. That call left me with a bitter cocktail of relief and shame. I hated dragging her into this, but I needed someone in my corner. By the time Emma walked through the door that night, smiling like nothing was wrong, I'd already moved almost everything. Our house, our cash, the investments, into a trust under my mother's name. Just enough stayed in our joint account to keep the illusion alive. She didn't notice. Kissed me on the cheek. Asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I said sure. Inside, I was unraveling. Half guilt, half relief. I'd never hidden anything from her before. But something about the way she was acting, the overly sweet mood, the sudden drop in financial talk, it didn't feel like peace. It felt like a storm was on the horizon. Over the next few days, everything seemed too normal. She didn't mention money again. Not even once. For someone who'd been pushing so hard, it was weird. And I noticed her glancing at me more, like she was studying me. But whenever our eyes met, she'd quickly look away. It felt like she was waiting for me to say something. Maybe she thought I'd break first. But I wasn't giving her that edge. Whatever she was planning, I had to be 2 steps ahead. I made sure everything was locked down. Double-checked the trust documents, called my mom again to confirm she had everything. I wasn't leaving anything to chance. 2 weeks passed. She acted more affectionate, strangely upbeat. Started chatting about job changes or takeout orders like nothing was wrong. It threw me off. I started doubting myself. Maybe I had overreacted. Then Friday came. We were sitting on the couch. She turned off the TV. Looked me in the eye. We need to talk. My heart sank. I already knew what was coming. I think we should get a divorce, she said. Calm. Cold. Like she was reading from a script. She didn't cry. Didn't shout. Just said it. Like she was returning library books. She started talking about needing space, finding herself, all the usual lines. But then she said, I've made a lot of sacrifices for you. I don't think you appreciate them. I deserve more. That line hit me like a slap. Not because she wanted to leave, but because she framed our whole marriage like it was some burden she had to carry. Like I owed her for the life we built together. She mentioned a friend, someone who'd been helping her see things more clearly. Said it casually, but it sounded like this friend wasn't just giving advice, they were scripting the whole exit. I stayed quiet. Just nodded. Said, if that's how you feel, we'll figure it out. She seemed surprised. Maybe she expected a fight. Maybe she wanted one. But I had bigger things on my mind. The divorce papers came that Monday. And they weren't just standard documents, they were demands. Half the house. My savings. My investments. The car. And spousal support clauses that made 0 sense considering her salary. This wasn't someone asking to separate. This was a strategic hit. I couldn't just sit and let this happen. I started digging. Quietly. Carefully. Her social media was still public. I scrolled through every tagged photo, every comment. Then I saw him. Jake. Liked her posts. Commented often. Just enough to raise a brow. Clicked his profile. He looked like a typical 30-something marketing guy. But then I saw it. A photo at the same cafe where I saw Emma on that strange day. Same outfit. Same time. And more, comments like you've got this. And a selfie from what looked like her new apartment. It wasn't proof, but it felt like too much to be a coincidence. I reached out to a mutual friend, Lisa. Kept it casual at first. Asked if she'd noticed anything weird. She shut me down fast. Defensive. Like she didn't want to get involved. So I called another friend, Emily. Same approach. She was distant at first. But then, a few hours later, she called me back. I can't say much, she said. But, yeah. She's been spending time with someone named Jake. Met him at work. He's been helping her with the divorce stuff. It all clicked. This wasn't about rediscovering herself. She'd found someone new. And now, she wanted to rewrite the story like I was the villain. But I wasn't going to let that happen. So, I made a plan. The next Saturday, I got in my car and drove to her apartment. Not to fight. But to end this on my terms. I parked a block away from her apartment, just watching. Waiting. I needed to be sure. A few hours later, they stepped out, Emma and Jake. They weren't holding hands, but the closeness, the way they leaned in to talk, it was clear. It wasn't just emotional distance anymore. She hadn't simply fallen out of love with me. She was walking away into a whole other life, with someone else. I didn't follow them. I didn't need to. Back home, the weight of it all pressed hard against my chest. Every move she made suddenly made sense. The weird financial questions, the abrupt change in behavior, the cold, clinical divorce demands, none of it had been spontaneous. She was building a future. Just not one that included me. But what she didn't know was that I wasn't going down without protecting myself. Mediation day came. She walked in with her lawyer, both confident and smug, armed with a binder full of demands, half the house, all the savings, the car, and some absurd talk of spousal support, as if I was the one walking out. I sat still, silent, waiting. Then my attorney slid a neat stack of papers across the table. These outline all asset transfers made several weeks ago, into a trust held by my client's mother, he explained calmly. Her lawyer scanned the pages, and his smugness melted with each flip. What is this? He asked, stunned. Emma grabbed the documents from him. Her face went pale. This can't be real. The notary stamps, the dates, they were all there. You planned this, she said to me, voice shaking, rage building behind her eyes. You knew I was going to file. You set this up to screw me over. I didn't say a word. What was there to say? This wasn't revenge. This was defense. Her lawyer, now clearly rattled, said they needed to reevaluate. But we all knew, it was over. Legally, tactically, emotionally. Her play had failed. In the hallway, she pulled me aside. This isn't over, she whispered, her voice low and trembling. You're going to regret this. I already regret trusting you, I replied. That's the only regret I have. After that, it spiraled. The calls started immediately, long, rambling voicemails. First, pleading. Then blaming. 1 minute she was crying, saying she made a mistake. The next, she was screaming about how cruel I was. I ignored them all. Then came the stories, telling mutual friends that it was all just a joke, a test of our relationship. But when people started poking holes, asking why she hired a lawyer if it was all just a prank, her lies started crumbling. She shifted again, painting herself as the victim. Told anyone who'd listen that I was cold, heartless, unfair. Even her brother came at me, furious that I didn't just talk things out. I stayed quiet. I didn't need to defend myself. The truth always comes out. And it did, thanks to Matt. Not a close friend, just a decent guy. He messaged me out of nowhere and said, "You need to see something." Turned out, a friend of his knew Jake, had even heard him bragging about securing Emma's future. Screenshots of texts started making their way around. In them, Emma wasn't just venting. She was planning, with Jake. Once the settlement's done, we'll have everything we need, she wrote. Don't back down, Jake replied. Make him feel guilty. He owes you. Everything hit me at once. This wasn't confusion. It wasn't heartbreak. It was calculated. Emma and Jake had been plotting to take everything I built and run. Matt gave me those texts. And soon, they started spreading. Friends who'd once taken her side backed off. Some messaged apologies. Even her brother reached out. I didn't know what she was doing to you. I'm sorry. By the time the divorce was finalized, she walked away with nothing but her personal belongings. No house. No car. No savings. Jake? He disappeared. The second the money dream fizzled, he vanished. Maybe he used her. Maybe they used each other. Either way, there was no fairy tale ending for them. Emma kept calling, texting, begging. Please, let's talk. I'll do anything to fix this. But I was done. The door was closed. Locked. Gone. Even her family began pulling away. No one wants to be tied to someone who tried to burn another life down for their own gain. Me? I kept the house. The savings. But more than anything, I got my peace back. My mom, being the legend she is, came over with paint samples and a tape measure, determined to help me make the place feel mine again. And we did. Together, we laughed. We moved on. Now, life feels quiet. Real. Mine. Emma is a chapter in my past, one I don't reread. The rest of the story? That's up to me now. And if this story resonated with you, tell us in the comments, what would you have done in my shoes? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that hit deep.